Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Heart to Heart with Hads. Today, we're going to be diving into birth control, hormonal birth control, and its effect on your body. But first things first, I kind of just want to do a little bit of a um, update on how I'm doing. If you've been following me on Instagram, you've probably seen that I've been trying to restore my menstrual cycle, and last week I finally got one, so I was super happy about that. Another thing that I did as well, let me just dive deep into that. I hadn't had one since probably July. Yeah, it was July of 2024, so almost 7 months, I guess you could say, since I had had one. And so I had one in February, which was pretty neat. And I had been, I'd pull back on my training, I had increased my dietary fats. But a lot of times when there's HPA dysregulation, HPA access dysregulation going on, which I think that was the case for me. That is the case for me after getting my Dutch toll, Dutch test results back. It showed that I had I think it was high metabolized cortisol. I can't remember if it was high or low, but anyways, with that being said, just meaning that all of my cortisol is essentially converting into cortisone, and so my body is just like not properly, I don't know what the word is, using cortisol the way that it should be, and so that could be causing some of that dysregulation. So basically a little bit of adrenal fatigue. Now, I don't abuse caffeine, like that's not something that I do, but it can happen from, excess stress and cortisol. So I will be supplementing with that. Also, my estrogen was low compared to my progesterone. My progesterone was really, really high. I think it was due to the supplement that I was taking that helps increase your natural progesterone levels. So definitely pulled back on that, and I won't take that again until I reach a certain point in my cycle. So I'm hoping to just keep getting regular consistent cycles, but there is a supplement that I'm going to take that's going to help increase my estrogen levels. Let me look it up in my check-in really quick, and then I'll be able to tell you exactly what that is. Now, I don't, oh, that's why my sound wasn't sounding very good. Now, I don't think that you should just go and take this blindly. So make sure that you're working with a coach who can help you with this. My mic is just like all over the place today. I don't quite know what's going on. Let me see. Do. No, that's not it. Okay, red clover. So I'll take this 4 weeks on and then 2 weeks off, just because you don't want to get too much estrogen, but this should help increase that. I'm also doing a little bit of a flush right now. I'm finishing a little bit of a detox, which I was kind of weird that I started that 2 days before I started my cycle. It was really cool to see that, but at the same time, I was like, oh, was it because of everything I've been doing, or is it just because of that? Um, so yeah, with the flush, the detox itself, it's basically just something like cellular cleanup that I have some of my clients do that are dealing with weight loss resistance. So I just decided to do it just to see if it would help, kind of kickstart my metabolism, get me to feel a little bit better, and just kind of push in a lot of nutrients. So that is what's been going on with me. But other than that, some life updates, I guess you could say. Nothing really crazy going on. But I am going to be moving soon. Not states, just or anything. I'm just moving like 10 minutes from where I am right now. So that's fun and that's cool. I'm really excited about it because it's definitely been like godsend and answered prayer. So thankful for that. I'm trying to connect back to my Wi-Fi because it just kicked me off for whatever reason. So, trying to figure that out. Okay, we're reconnected, it says. Hopefully. Okay, we're good. We're good. Anyway, so getting into the topic of today, talking about birth control. Um, I just want to do like a little preface. I'm not a doctor. This is just all on personal experience and also what I've learned through my educational courses and resources. I'm not a doctor. I don't, this is not intended to be quote unquote medical advice. This is just kind of the things that what I help my clients do and help myself with. Um, yeah, I was on birth control for whatever reason. Honestly, I think I just thought that it was cool, not because like I needed it because I thought I was gonna get pregnant. I think it was mostly just because I was like, oh, my acne, and I didn't even have acne. I don't honestly, really huge mistake me even getting on it. I actually think I got on it because my periods were incredibly bad and heavy, like super bad. Like I'd be going through multiple tampons a day. And this was in high school too. I think my sister dealt with the same thing. But I have not had any sort of issues like that since getting on birth control. It was very much regular and not as bad. But before that, I would actually get sick. I would I would have to like miss a day of school the very first day of my cycle because I was literally like dry heaving and just feeling so terrible. So then I got on birth control. So I was on that from like I think the end of my senior year. I also had some cysts and all sorts of things. So after that, I was like, okay, let's just try it out. So from then up until 2022, September of 2022. So I think I was on it for a year and a half. So not even, well, I don't know. So it was the end of 2020. No, the beginning of 2020. And then the end of 2022. So almost 2 years. Yeah, almost 2 years of being on it. Um, and then after, when I got off, I got my cycle probably back after about 3 months. September, October, November, December. I got one in December, so that was my first one. And then I got one in January, February, or I didn't get one in January. Then I got one in February. Then I had one in March, April, May, June, July, then all the way up until I started prep. And then since my prep, I haven't necessarily had a regular one, which was 2023 of December of 2023. So that's just a little bit of backstory on like birth control, my cycle, yada yada. Anyways, um, I think that there's a lot of misinformation on birth control, and so that's why I kind of wanted to chat about it because oftentimes women are, prescribed it from their OB, their primary care physician, whatever, because they're dealing with, acne, hormonal imbalances, which that's a whole nother topic in itself. That's such a controversial, like wide range topic. Um, but when I mean hormonal imbalances, inability to gain or lose weight. Now, when you're young, you're probably not, that's not the reason you're getting on it. It's usually for what it's intended for. You don't want to get pregnant and you want your acne to go away and you want your cycle to be regular and you don't want it to suck. So, and have terrible PMS symptoms. And so that's why they typically put you on it. Now, for them to say, like, oh, this is going to regulate your cycle, quote unquote, or balance your cycle, your hormones, quote unquote, totally not true. I think it's important to know exactly what hormonal birth control is and how it works, like what its mechanism of action is. I think it's important for everyone to know. So, first things first is it suppresses your ovulation. So, inside birth control, it's synthetic estrogen and synthetic progestin, which suppresses the FSH, so your follicle stimulating hormone, and your luteinizing hormone, LH, from the pituitary gland, halting egg release. Now, first thing we should go over to is everything starts in the brain. So if your brain is signaling, not to have ovulation, which is that's basically what it's saying, is you're not going to ovulate, you're not going to get pregnant. And so, like in my case, I don't think I was even ovulating. So something was going on in my HPA axis, my brain, that was telling me, okay, we can't send ovulation. Your body doesn't feel safe right now to ovulate. Anyways, um, that's just another tangent in itself, a little side note. So halts the egg release. And then the progestin itself also thickens the mucus, which blocks sperm from reaching the egg. Another thing it does is reduces the thickness of your uterine lining, which prevents implantation. So implantation happens after ovulation, typically if you are a regular menstruating person not on hormonal birth control. And so if that implantation does happen, you'll be pregnant. So if there's no implantation, it doesn't happen. But that's typically what happens whenever you're on the hormonal birth control pill. That's how it works, in a nutshell. Now, the systemic impact of birth control has lots and lots of facets to it. So, first things first, um, obviously, number one, hormonal disruption. When you're putting synthetic estrogen, synthetic progesterone, not progesterone, progestin into your body, you're automatically down regulating your natural production of your own hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And so this can sometimes cause that post pill amenorrhea. 30% of women tend to struggle with that. Not only that, liver function is impaired as well. So it increases the pill, birth control, whatever. It doesn't really matter if you're doing birth control, IUD, patches, implants, they're all going to have the same sort of mechanism going on. But liver function increases your SHBG, so your sex hormone binding globulin, which lowers your free testosterone and also decreases your libido, your sex drive. So this is directly related to your liver health. And then another interesting fact, these are just facts that I've pulled up. Hormonal birth control is linked to a 50% increase of Crohn's disease and disrupts the gut microbiome balance because because the birth control is depleting you of so many essential nutrients, which is another impact of the birth control itself. Depleting those nutrients, you're going to have decreased absorption of nutrients. I don't know if that just made sense. Since it's depleting your nutrients, it's going to be harder for you to absorb nutrients coming in from foods. So this is why it's important that, if you are someone that's on birth control, you are supplementing with essential vitamins and nutrients. And then when you're coming off, it's important that you're increasing those foods that are going to increase those essential vitamins and nutrients as well. So, like zinc, magnesium, like all of your vitamins, A, C, D, E, K, all of the above, you're going to want to be supplementing with birth control and after once you get off. And that one just really irks me, that 50% increased risk of Crohn's disease. That is absurd. Also very sad. because I know people who do have Crohn's and I know how much it affects them. And so, if this was something that maybe we could have talked about, like that would have been talked about whenever you're prescribed this, then it would be like, okay, I maybe don't actually want to take this. Um, and if you've been listening, if you follow me, you know that all disease begins inside of the gut. And if the gut is impaired, you're more likely to get so many other types of diseases, cancers, all sorts of things. So it's really saddening and frustrating that we're not totally informed on all of these things at a young age. Um, and then it's just a cascade. And I've seen so many women deal with so many issues because of it. And that's why I want to just shed light on it and shed some of these facts and how you can help even increase your get your natural hormone levels back up and get you to feeling good again. But we're not done with everything that it disrupts. Mental health, this is another big thing that's affected. There was a study that found a 23% increased risk of depression among birth control users. This is incredibly scary too, because personally, I believe that like depression, anxiety is the root of literally everything. I know gut too, but your anxiety, your feelings, your emotions, all of those, your stress directly impacts your gut, which directly impacts everything else. The whole body is connected as one. And so, whenever you're addressing something, you need to address it from a whole body standpoint, not just one piece, every single thing. And as scary as that may seem and may sound, when I have clients come to me and they're dealing with, some sort of mental issues that I cannot help them with, I refer them out. I cannot help with that. And until you can, get that mindset better, it's going to be so hard to even make lots of progress because you're stuck in that anxiety, that stress, that depression, which is a trickle down effect into every day of your life. Now, I know I go off on little tangents, so just bear with me. And I know this is kind of a deep and bulky episode, so a lot of educational things going on in this one. Another thing, um, another impact, thyroid disruption. So, elevated estrogen. So, when being on birth control, your estrogen is elevated. And whenever you have too much estrogen in the body and your estrogen to progesterone ratio is high, your body doesn't detoxify out all of that estrogen. Then you're dealing with that unexplained weight gain, all of those other that low energy, not being able to put on muscle mass, gaining body fat in areas that you don't want, like your stomach and your legs. Um, so elevated estrogen increases your TBG, so your thyroid binding globulin, potentially causing hypothyroid like symptoms. So, a down regulated thyroid can be a cause of birth control, which is really freaking sad. So, and then just some of the long term uh, concerns that, like, if you're someone that's on birth control for a long period of time, um, and long-term effects after the fact, you can the common side effects can be mood swings, weight gain, headaches, low libido, which those mood swings and those headaches are likely coming from the nutrient depletion, especially the headaches. um, and then that weight gain from excess estrogen not being able to properly detoxify, and then that low libido, which we talked about earlier, which when your sex hormone binding globulin is up, is increased, high SHBG, your testosterone is low. So we don't want that super high. Going back into the nutrient depletion, B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, selenium, Selenium is super important for thyroid health. Magnesium is important for, you know, relaxation and digestion and all of the things. B vitamin is important for your brain, your cognitive function. Um, Blood clots raises the risk by 3 to 5 times. You're at a higher risk for cancer. The World Health Organization, this is just a what's the word I'm looking for? A why can't it come to my brain? Statistic, a statistic I found. Um, the World Health Organization classifies oral contraceptives as group 1 carcinogens. Carcinogens. Do you know what carcinogens means? If you don't, we're going to look it up because I'm not sure the exact definition. Carcinogens are substances or agents that cause cancer. They damage DNA and interfere with the normal cell growth and division, leading to development of cancerous tumors. How freaking scary is that? Very scary. Okay, it says as group 1 carcinogens due to breast and cervical cancer risk, but notes decreased ovarian and endometrial cancer risk. So it increases your risk of breast and cervical cancer, if I'm reading that right. Classifies oral contraceptives as group 1 carcinogens. Yes. Okay. Wow. Bone density loss. This is the next one. So long term use, especially with the progestin only methods, can weaken bone density. And I have a feeling that's because it's down regulating your uh, natural production of estrogen and progesterone. And so if you don't have enough estrogen, if you don't have enough progesterone, that's what's going to cause uh, less bone density. So that's why whenever, menopausal women are experiencing low estrogen, low progesterone, it and they're dealing with some of those like joint pains and all of those things, it's because they don't have, like, estrogen helps with the like lubrication of joints and bones, and without that, decrease bone density. So wow, that's a lot. And so going into what things are often hidden, um, you know, first thing, kind of like what we talked about at the beginning, is it's used to mask the symptoms that you may be facing. So the PCOS, the endometriosis, the irregular cycles, all of these things are getting suppressed and not necessarily treated. So it's being used to slap a band-aid on, kind of like what we hear with everything else when it comes to, um, you know, typical Western modern medicine and prescribing things whenever there's these symptoms that arise instead of figuring out why they're caused. Same thing goes for this. And then you're not informed on the post-birth control syndrome. So when people do get off of birth control, up to 50% of women experience acne, hair loss, cycle disruptions, all the above, because your body was relying on this thing for so long, and then it comes off and it's literally like, holy shit, what the F. And so that's why it's important that whenever you do decide to come off, that you have a plan of action and you don't just get off, because then that really, really messes with your body, your overall well-being. And this is something I really stress with my clients right now. I've had a couple that have come to me and they've been on birth control and they've got off, and I've had to take them through an entire process to restoring those. And when they get off, they don't feel the best. That's the thing. So, really supporting their body with lots of nutrients is very beneficial for whenever they're opting to get off. And that's a process in itself. So, if you're in that process, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help guide you into the next steps. And another thing, fertility. This one is huge. So, for most women, ovulation returns within, 90 days after getting off birth control. But over 20% face delays for over a year after getting off. And so I personally know lots of people who've been on birth control who cannot get pregnant. And I do think it is caused not only by the birth control pill itself, but also just other, there's obviously other factors, but birth control being one of them, obviously high stress, the things that are in our food, the toxins, all of it, toxin overload, I think is the biggest problem. And so birth control itself is a toxin. I truthfully believe. So that is my 2 cents on that one. And then there is a lot of research on how birth control can impact your relationship. So birth control can influence who you decide to date and your relationship satisfaction. So I don't remember exactly the study or where this came from, but those who are on birth control tend to pick more feminine style men. And what I mean by that is typically men who have, lower testosterone levels. And I'm not just saying this because I'm in the bodybuilding scene. I'm just saying this because it's true facts. Like, you're more likely to pick someone that's doesn't go to the gym, has low testosterone, not muscular, and has more feminine characteristic traits, which is really, really crazy. But it does alter, obviously, your brain chemistry to some extent. And so people have noticed, when they get off, that they're no longer attracted to that same person, or that they're attracted to more, masculine, more high testosterone, which is really crazy. So I don't know. I do not know. But I think it's true. It is true. Obviously, there's research around it. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell on what I know about, birth control and how it affects you. Now, as far as how to support your body on birth control and after birth control, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, I recommend doing some sort of liver detox for anyone that's on birth control. I recommend doing it at least once every 6 months, if not once a year, just because it is a toxin. Your body does deal with some toxin overload from it. It's important to kind of help eliminate that, get all of your detox pathways opened up, especially because all those hormones and toxins are staying built up into your body with being on the birth control. Now, I recommend doing the same thing once coming off is immediately doing a detox. So ways you can do that with medical food, some supplementation, which I know exactly how to do this. So if you're someone that's wanting to do this, reach out to me and I can help you during this process. Also, you can some ways to aid in those detox pathways are dandelion tea, cruciferous vegetables. So I like to think broccoli. That's my favorite. And then, making sure that you're replenishing those nutrients. So these are all things you can do on and when getting off. Supplementing B vitamins, magnesium glycinate, omega 3s, zinc in the biggest piece you need to focus on is making sure your gut health is good. Making sure you're getting enough fiber so that you're properly detoxifying any excess estrogen. You can use probiotics too, but that would be the last thing I would recommend, because we don't want to feed any bacteria that may be in there, any bad bacteria. So that's why take probiotics lightly. If you need help with that, reach out to me and I can help you with that, because I don't just tell anyone to get a probiotic for no reason without knowing what they're using it for. And there's different strands of probiotics, so knowing what strands and their strength is really important as well. Uh, so going back to the gut, fiber. For microbiome repair, I love glutamine. I love some sort of IgG, immunoglobulin, to help with the immunity. Um, I love to make sure that adrenals are balanced, so incorporating things like ashwagandha, rhodiola to help regulate cortisol. And then you can cycle sync or try to get your cycle back in a regular pattern. Um, this is more for when you're getting off. Uh, so you can adjust based on the phase of the moon or what your typical cycle would be. For cycle days 1 through 14, this is just a seed cycling that I have been doing to get mine. I like to do pumpkin seed, pepitas, and flaxseed on the first half of my cycle. So days 1 through 14. This is your, my mic keeps moving around. This is your follicular phase. So the menstrual, obviously days 1 through 17, day 1 through 7 typically, why can I not talk? Day 1 through 7 typically is your menstrual cycle. A normal menstrual cycle is anywhere from 3 to 7 days. It doesn't have to be a full 7 days, doesn't have to be a full 5 days, 3 to 7 days. And then you move into, that proliferative phase after that. So moving into ovulation, your follicular phase, and then going into the luteal phase. And so in the luteal phase, you'll do ground sesame or tahini, which I use, and you'll do sunflower seeds in that, and that just helps with the estrogen and progesterone ratios, getting those in the ideal range for those two periods of your cycle. But overall, I hope all of that made sense. But the overarching theme here is just learning about what it does to your body, and then obviously there's some other things you can do to help once getting off, which I'm very well versed in that, so can help anyone that's struggling with that. But it's just important to understand the benefits and the risk, and then seeking like that holistic side support to repair your body post birth control. Another thing too is recognizing like body temperature and things like that, so that you can naturally, have a like birth control naturally, because I know that's a lot of concern for a lot of women is, okay, so how do I know what my cycle is? Like, how can I prevent myself from pregnancy? Yada, yada, yada. And that just comes down to, I like to use natural cycles, and I use Oura Ring, and I track my temperature so that I know where I'm at in my cycle and avoid certain days, like abstaining certain days. So that's important to keep a note of too when you're coming off. I know it can be stressful too, because it's like, I have to really be careful now. And it's like, yes, but that's how you learn your body, and you'll actually like feel like the different phases when you do have a cycle. And it's really cool to see like, wow, this is how the human woman body is supposed to work. So just also too remembering that Your body's symptoms are signals and they're not diagnoses. They're not a diagnosis. So, keeping that in mind. But yeah, if anybody needs additional help on this, please reach out and let me know. I love talking about this. This is something I'm very passionate about, and I have gained a plethora of knowledge from it and from my own experience. So, DM me with any of your birth control questions, or if I should do a follow-up Q&A, let me know. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It was really fun to do, and it got me really excited about helping those in need of assistance. So thank you guys for joining in. Please give me a review, rating, share it with your friends, somebody who may need to hear it, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.